You're watching Fatty's Funhouse. Here is your host, John Sonnick.
All right, it's Dave and John here. We've got a mashup edition of 2mics 2djs and
Fatty's Funhouse.
Come on! It's a party in a box when we're ready to rock and roll. So I'm here with my buddy John. We haven't seen each other in quite a few years. And we started talking about the good old days and whatnot. And I said, you know what? Let's save all those good stories for now. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to play like I don't really know who this guy is, but really I do. But I'm going to ask the questions that must be asked. And so let me start.
Okay.
Big Daddy, how you been? How's life?
It's every day is a different adventure, but, we get through them.
Right on, right on.
And it actually feels good to be back in the original Funhouse.
Yes, yes. Big things are happening at the Funhouse.
After, almost a year away. Don't worry, I wasn't in prison or nothing.
You are kind of cute, though.
Hey there.
Hey, now. But it's good to see you, bro. It's been a long time. I'm
Same
glad
here,
to
brother.
hear that you're back at the original Funhouse. And I must say, the original Funhouse looks fantastic. I've been walking around here all day saying, wow, this looks great. This looks great. So let me say it one more time. Wow, this looks great. Happy that you're back in the original Funhouse. Looking forward to doing some more Funhouse stuff in the future. As long as my crazy ass can get down here. But let me start. Let's get on a serious note for a second. And let's start. So, as a DJ to DJ.
Right.
Were you a kid involved with music? Or was that something that you got into later in life?
Well, I always liked music. I started playing guitar probably, I would say the first time I walked into Keyport Music in the town that I currently live in.
How old were you about?
5 years old.
Come on!
So, 49 years, well, let's say 30 years, 35 years playing seriously.
Right on.
You get into that heavy metal stage when you turn about 13, 14.
Right.
You discover Judas Priest, except
All
Iron Maiden,
stuff.
Sabbath. You even go farther back, Zeppelin, and always loved music, especially rock and roll. None of there was a brief time that I actually got into that late 80s, mid 80s freestyle.
Yeah, I like my freestyle. As a DJ, that was, how I actually learned how to beat mix. I had a DJ up in Carteret at the French Maid on Broad Street. Not at Carteret, in Elizabeth. At the French Maid on Broad Street. This guy,
Right.
Steve, he was playing all the new freestyle music. And I was like, what is this? What is this? And he was like, here, match the beat like this, do like that. And then he taught me phrasing.
Right, and you're talking Cynthia, George
Right,
Lamont,
I
TKA,
love George Lamont, man.
TKA, Stevie B.
Yeah. Oh, Stevie B's the best.
Yeah.
I really like Stevie B a lot. He had a lot of great bangers.
I actually I went to a freestyle show, and I'm going to say it was at PNC.
Okay.
Probably maybe 5 years ago.
Right on.
And they were all there.
Bro, I bet you the women were looking fine.
Well, they were fine back in 1980.
Okay.
Whatever. They're just, they're all milfed up now. You know what I mean? I'll be screaming out in the crowd, "Oh, Stifler's mom!"
The Cougars on the prowl.
But, that's just me. That's
Right.
my personality.
But the concert was a good time, huh?
It was definitely a good time.
Right.
It was something different.
Okay.
So
you started DJing freestyle music, and then what else were you also getting into?
Well, Mike is mostly metal and
Cool.
80s glam rock and hair bands,
Right
and,
on, right.
all that
We
kind of shit.
didn't even call it hair bands back in the day. Not for nothing, but it was just known as, like he said, glam rock or heavy metal. The hair metal thing came out in the 2000s, late 90s.
Right, was kind of
It explained a lot.
that was their inception of what went on in the 80s.
Yeah.
Hair metal.
There were a lot of Aquanet.
God. That's probably what took my hair.
Hey, You know what the most flammable room in any nightclub was?
The ladies'
bathroom. God forbid you lit a cigarette.
Yeah, you're going up quick.
The can of Aquanet Black, like this long. Anyway, so when did you first get like the DJ bug? Like, you know, I know one thing is to like listen to music and appreciate music in that form, but when did you like get inspired to actually want to affect like a crowd?
So it was probably around 89. No, yeah, about 89, because I was out of high school already.
Okay.
I went into this little club in Kingsburg. It was called Pumps.
Pumps? I may have heard of that place.
Yeah, there was this guy that would, even on a boring night, would get a crowd going. You might know him. I think I'm really kind of like looking at him.
You're looking at him. Who's that? Does he owe you any money?
Nah, never got that, you know, too far into it. But that was kind of the game changer for me. I seen at that time, you know, that it was a fun time. There was a lot of money involved, especially back then.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, like, you would, at that point, you would get a paycheck, plus you had some kind of minimum.
Right.
You know, you get tipped out and whatever.
A little extra.
And, you know, there was probably $500 to $1,000 nights involved then.
At times.
You know, and it really just depended on where you were. Now,
sure.
Now, at that point in my life, I was still only just 18.
He's only 18. I'm 18 and I like it.
And, you know, just getting out of high school and whatever. And I couldn't get into any of the liquor bars, like,
right.
as far as a DJ, because they knew I was underage. They wouldn't give me an ABC card in Kingsburg.
Right.
They wouldn't give me one in Hazlitt. And then, bam, I started hanging out at Go-Go-Rama, which was a juice bar at the time. And
so the whole alcohol thing wasn't a problem.
Right. And there was no BYO at that time or whatever. So I actually had to set up an audition for a DJ job at the old Twin Peaks in Long Branch, which was the what the hell was that called?
In Long Branch?
The Blue Dolphin, I think it was called, or some shit like that. And that was Luke Lippens, John Basso, Shay One. And actually, I seen him not too long ago.
Me too. We ran into each other at a party.
Yeah, I usually run into him down the waterfront in Union Beach. That's where he lives. Or Homedale, I think he lives, but he's always hanging out down that way. And, you know, even though I was underage, I still had a shot at getting a job there, which I did get hired, but I turned it down because Go-Go-Rama had came back to me and said, listen, here's the deal. We'd like you to be, you know, our opening set DJ, you know, from like 4 o'clock to like 9 o'clock at night.
Right on.
5 days a week. Then from that 5 days, I built on it. And I was there like 3 days a week on my own from open till closing. And then,
it's a long day, open and closing.
Well, no, the beauty part of it was they opened at 4 o'clock, and they were done by like 12:30.
Oh, wow. So that's not bad at all.
So, you know, with the no liquor thing.
Right.
You know, why the hell are you going to stay open until 2?
Understood.
You know, with a bunch of jerk-offs, you know. And then, shit, I was there for about 2 years. And then I moved on to Extreme Fahrenheit down in Asbury Park.
I remember that place.
You know, the old, now it's called Paradise. It's, you know.
Regular club?
It's an alternate lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
But, not for nothing, in the summertime, they have a banger of a party on their rooftop.
It's a festival, huh?
The rooftop. Actually, a cousin of mine, DJ Philip James, he does guest spots there in the summertime.
Awesome.
And then, he does another spot in South Amboy. I forget what it's called. But the same people that own Club 35 own this little hole in the wall as well. But, banger house music.
Right on.
None of like today's hip hop or anything like that.
We'll get into that in a minute, young man.
Well, that's a whole other monster.
Right.
Which, obviously, you did this a little bit longer than I. I'm actually still in it. But, the whole industry has changed.
Yes. That's been a common theme for a lot of DJs that work in the adult entertainment business like we do. Again, back in the 80s, a lot of more mom and pops. It's become a lot more corporate.
Right.
Squeezing every last drop of juice out of every lemon. And, I get it, but it has definitely
But don't forget, there in the mid-'90s, like the early to mid-'90s, you had like all the super clubs that opened up in the city.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun. Scores,
Goldfingers, actually the whole chain of Goldfingers.
Right.
The Lace clubs, the Stiletto clubs, which those people now own Gogorama.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So, it's just a lot of those super clubs, as quick as they open, they close just as quick.
The high maintenance, yeah.
Yeah, so, if you're going to open something like that, you had a place at that point was Manhattan.
Right.
But if you're going to open up something like that today, I would say you're going to be broke within 6 months to a year.
Yeah, the problem
easily.
With super clubs like that is they are a big nut to crack even before you make a profit. You know? And, again, on paper it might sound like a good strategy, but in practice it can be very difficult.
Listen, you got to see 100 G's a week.
Right.
In one of those big establishments in order just to pay your bills. Never mind breaking even or pulling out a little bit for yourself. That's just to turn the lights on.
Right.
And in a commercial business, doesn't really matter what it is. Okay, to turn your lights on, it's going to cost you $1 a day.
Right.
Just to flick your switch. And, if you're going to do any kind of business, do something that you don't have to rent a building or buy a building.
Yeah, man, because real estate, there's in every business is always the incidentals such as garbage removal and whatever, but that real estate, man. In fact, it's funny you mention it because I watched the documentary on McDonald's of all things, and the thing that I took away from the documentary was that McDonald's was not really a hamburger business.
Right.
They're actually a real estate business because they actually purchased the buildings that they're... And even if the business fails, they still own that property, and they can put somebody else in there. And
right.
So it's like reselling the same thing over and over and making a profit every time because you're not... The main company, McDonald's, is never going to go out of business. It's just whoever owns the franchise. And McDonald's will come in there and take it over if you're underperforming. But let's talk about DJs.
Okay.
But yeah, the business has definitely changed. I noticed that. When I went to Florida, working in Florida was different than working in Manhattan or working in Jersey. Because like when I left Jersey, there wasn't really any lap dancing. It was mostly socializing at the bar with the girls, and that was really about it. Just dump your money on the girls when they were on stage, which of course was always fun.
Right.
And then
and nowadays, that's what your younger crowd is doing.
Right.
Like guys like our age, not guys like us, but your general public.
Right.
They're going in, they're seeing who they want to see. They're going for the lap dancer. They're going, for the 200 for the VIP room, whatever, and they leave.
Right.
Like on.
They're not spending the whole night there.
No, on any given shift in one of these places, these guys are coming in. They're seeing who they want to see, and they're leaving. A half hour later.
Gotcha.
You're not gonna get that crowd.
Yeah, to me, like back again when I was down at Pumps, it was more of like a college crowd having a good time. And again, it seemed like almost like an endless summer because everybody had that beach party atmosphere.
Right, but the thing is, they were drinking, they were having a good time,
Right.
They were listening to good music.
Right.
Every girl was prettier than the next.
Right.
I mean, you had girls, they worked there. They worked at the body shop up the road.
Right. They had that little South Circuit, and they had the Central Jersey, and then the North Jersey Circuit.
You had Bar H right up the road. Then you had Body Shop, which is now Fantasies.
Right. Right.
Then you had Vibrations up South Amboy.
Wow, I forgot about them. Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time.
Which is now like an old folks' home.
Is it?
Yeah.
They still got the poles up?
Instead of Shady Pines, it's Shady Vibrations. And then you had, which is now Black Betty's, on the Rocks.
I used to be on the Rocks. Remember they used a manager, George, was on the Rocks?
Rick?
I don't know. I didn't know. Rick.
Well, there was a George there.
George, yeah. Well, I believe, because they used to run cassette tapes, and my partner, John, and I, we would record 8 hours of music on a VHS tape.
Right.
And we'd give it to them, and they'd play those for the music for the whole day, and we'd put all their announcements on the tapes and whatnot.
Right. That was like the day shift thing to do back then.
Yeah.
Because,
how you save money.
Right. Why are you going to pay, a DJ $150, $200 during the day?
Right.
When, your ring will probably be like even around $1,000.
Right.
Which was a bad day back then. Because money was flowing back then.
Money was flowing.
It was a great economy.
It was. Again, just a good time in history.
Yeah.
So, a couple things I want to ask you. So, are you still playing guitar?
Not as much as I would like to.
Okay.
But yes.
Because we were talking about music. You're still writing music, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I heard some of your AI music, which is really cool. And as far as music, like, what are you being influenced these days? Like, are you I'll get to stuff that you play at work, but like, what are your personal tastes flowing into?
My personal stuff that I like is like stuff like Disturbed, Linkin Park, like old Linkin Park.
Right on.
Although the new female singer that's with Linkin Park.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard of her. How is she?
She's not bad. They just released some new stuff.
Very cool.
But not the same chops that Chester had.
Well, I mean, it's hard to replace somebody like that.
Well, right. That's just like I when I had changed venues and we did a show down at my old studio. We had a debate. Really wasn't a debate on my end, but we talked about the Hagar years versus the Roth years. With Van Halen, and what was it? Who's a better songwriter?
Right.
Who's a better overall musician? Which
Right.
you got to say, in one respect, David Lee Roth.
He's a
a
great frontman,
great
terrible
showman.
singer, but he had some chops. I mean,
Right, but still a great showman.
Right.
All around. But if you're going to put him down with pen and paper, it's probably going to take him 6 months to write 3 lines. In the process, you might do more than 3, but that's a whole.
It's a whole different kind of line.
Yeah.
But
he Sammy Hagar, all around, I would say, is a well-rounded musician.
Oh yeah, dude, Sammy's been in the game for so long.
But I'm talking. his writing,
Well,
his style.
He's got a great rock and roll style. He's got a great rock and roll voice.
Yeah.
And his songs are great rock and roll songs.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that's on his own, never mind what he did with Van Halen.
Right, but I mean, here you see a guy that really can blend in with any situation. You know, like even the Van Halen songs that he performs
Right.
in his in his Chicken Foot shows, in his the Circle or whatever the hell he does, and other bullshit. He's just a well-rounded musician. Now, like, I don't know, I like only a certain few songs from the Sammy Van Halen era. I still love all the raw stuff.
Right. I mean, that's my favorite era too, but I get what you're saying, because again, Sammy is a proficient fucking rock and roll dude.
Now, Gary Sharon, when he came in and did Van Halen 3.
I've never heard that album. I heard it was pretty good.
Wasn't bad, but again, now, Sammy Hagar replaced David Lee Roth.
Right.
Big thing there, right?
She was huge.
Gary Sharon replacing Sammy Hagar for one album, and then Sammy came back for a brief minute. They didn't do another studio album after that. They just did a tour.
Didn't they do like a greatest hits?
Yeah, they with both David Lee Roth and Sammy.
Right.
But that was the only new music.
Okay.
At that point. So realistically, you're trying to fill spots of a big guy.
Yeah. And Gary Sharon's a great singer, nothing to take away from him.
No, he's
a great singer. Extreme's a great band.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting dynamic to see him with Van Halen.
Right.
I guess when Sammy joined the band, I didn't see that coming either.
Right.
Like out of everybody they could have had, they chose Sammy. Not that he was a bad choice.
No.
But it's just kind of a left field choice.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Gary. It was like, okay, this should be interesting, but then I never really heard much about it, and I guess it really never caught on.
Well, he came in the band, they did an album real quick, they got out on the road, and it's like when you're doing an arena tour with a subpar, he wasn't a headlining singer.
I get you.
Because Extreme is an opening act or a direct support slot act at best.
I understand what you mean, yeah.
You never heard of like Extreme headlining.
Kiss wouldn't open for Extreme, as it were. Like Kiss in their heyday would get the different tiers. So let me ask you, because I want to talk about music that you play at work, because I know the regional differences from Southwest Florida to New Jersey. I know a lot of it's going to be the same, but I'm sure there's stuff that's been different. So what are you playing at work? Anything that you like? Anything that you've been like, oh, I really like this song a lot?
Well, you have to realistically play for the entertainer.
Of course.
Okay. And I'm going to say 98% of them are hip-hop, R&B.
Right, I get it.
Okay, or reggaeton.
Right.
You don't have any real house girls anymore that like that, like real banger house type stuff. And, probably 1.5%, if that, like rock.
Right. Yeah, rock and roll is definitely not as popular as it was. And, I kind of understand why. If you look at the music, history of music, the 1940s were kind of like the jazz, 50s was doo-wop, 60s was psychedelic and Motown, 70s was, disco and rock, and then the 80s were metal and new wave. Nobody's really lamenting the fact that new wave isn't really what it used to be. But the rock and roll fans are like, wow, we still want to, relive those experiences. And the truth is, the next generation coming up is going to have their own perspectives on life that are different than ours, and they're going to have tastes that are going to be different than ours. So I know we're not going to appreciate the music as, let's say, a 21-year-old or a 23-year-old. You know,
Right.
be like, oh my God, I got to have the latest Ice Spice, or, you know, and okay, you know, Ice Spice, nice. I hope she's very successful in her life, but as me as a DJ, you know, she's one of a million.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be 20 more Ice Spices, all of them wishing they were Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, and so.
Well, the thing is, like, you have like a core of like 4 or 5 that are kind of like sound alike, right?
Right.
So you got Nicki Minaj, I believe, who was on the scene first.
Yeah. She's been around for a while now.
You got Cardi B, then you got Megan Thee Stallion,
Right.
City Girls,
Right.
and I know there's like somebody else in there somewhere, but you know, that's neither here nor there. I mean, I'm not knocking the music, but
Yeah. Have you heard any tracks that you've been like kind of leaning on, like, wow, I like this a lot?
no.
Is there any style of music that's, even if you're not playing it at work, that you're really digging?
Well, you know, I guess I'm still an old schooler at heart. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You know, I'm supporting New Jersey local. You know what I
Right
mean?
on.
Like,
And New Jersey local would mean that the local rock and roll music scene, you know, for
Yeah.
those of you who don't know. I mean, a lot of great talent. Zach Wilde, come on, he's a
Yeah.
local Jersey boy. And again, if you've been involved in the music scene in either Staten Island or New Jersey, you would know that there's a rich history out here.
you know, you got J.D. DeServio from Black Label who plays with Black
With Zach, yeah.
You know, he's basically my neighbor.
Right on.
Peter Chris lives out here now.
Right on.
You know, you got to see this booby hatch over in Colts Neck.
Okay.
At first he was in Wall, but like this place in like Colts Neck that he had just bought, you would think that's like Tony Montana's mansion.
That's fun.
You know, he actually just showed up at the Pantera show.
Oh, cool. Monday, right?
Yeah, it was at PNC. But you know, like Zach and everybody was loving the fact that he showed up at that show.
Right on. Yeah, because Peter Chris is a rock god.
Yeah.
So tell me, how long have you been entertaining the idea of the Funhouse and doing the Funhouse?
Okay, so the Funhouse.
Let's talk about the Funhouse.
Okay, so the Funhouse started out as a joke. Absolutely 1,000%. Okay. So I was up at my old recording studio up in Rahway. And there was a hip hop label actually down the hall from my studio.
Get out. That's fun.
So the owner of the studio down there, he smoked a lot of weed.
No.
And I was sitting with him in his office, and I kind of got secondhand stoned.
That's funny.
And it just started flowing.
Right on.
So I grabbed my phone. I walked through the studio, and I'm like, all right, this is the new home of Fatty's Funhouse, because he had a podcast room set up.
That's great.
I'm like, I was like, this is my boy, the Black Hammer, a.k.a. Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder. That's awesome.
I was breaking this guy's balls till no end, and he's just like,
Didn't know how to take it, huh?
He just, and lo and behold, probably about 3 weeks later, I aired my first show there.
Right on.
Which was a video thing like we're doing now. But he was really surprised of what I pulled off, because I had my first guest was comedian Mike Marino.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who that is.
I'm not familiar, but I know he's a local talent.
Yeah, he's out of Scotch Plains.
Okay.
That area, Fanwood. And he does a bit about having an Italian person from New Jersey that's like funny as shit. And it's just like typical, you know what I mean? I had him on with me. And then he's breaking my balls. He goes, this is really a good, practice on a podcast. He didn't really give it the notoriety that it,
Right.
but he couldn't believe the numbers.
Very cool.
Okay, because like right out of the box. Now, that night I was only live on Facebook. You don't have what you have now to where you can go
on any platform.
right simultaneous. Like in 2 weeks when I do the reboot show, I'm gonna have a known tattoo artist on the show from the area.
Who are you gonna tattoo live on the air?
No, but he's also a local musician.
Oh, cool.
Not giving it away just yet.
Yeah.
But he'll be here, and actually the last time he was on the show once before, and we did a road show from his tattoo studio.
Very cool.
And let me tell you something. Lugging all this shit down there, and then getting it set up on time for airtime and making sure everything is like perfect. You know what I mean?
It's a monumental task.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a one camera deal. You know what I mean? Because like there was 3 of us. It was him, my co-hostess, and myself. And, we probably did a good solid 2 hours that night.
Wow.
Because there was just so much shit to cover.
Right.
I'm kind of hoping that happens again. But this time I'm doing 4 platforms at a time.
Wow.
I'm going to be doing one of my Facebook pages, Instagram, Rumble, and YouTube. And hopefully it goes over well. I'm going to do that for a couple months.
Right on.
And then I'm going to go to another 5 platforms after that.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, because what I'm using now, you could do 9.
Oh, you could broadcast 9 streams simultaneously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, mind you, the cost of StreamYard went through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay, what you would get for $45 now, you're only getting 3 platforms.
That's expensive.
Okay,
man.
for $49, you're getting 9.
Right.
And you're able to broadcast in 4K.
Really? That's a big deal.
Yeah. So, your resolution's right on.
Yeah.
It's not going to look like shit when you're broadcasting.
They can see the pimples on your forehead.
Yeah.
4K.
Or if you're on your ass, if you move the camera.
Only fans.
There you go. See the back of the sack.
So tell me, John, what are your plans for the future? I mean, because you said you're going to be doing a reboot. What kind of are you planning or thinking? Let me rephrase that. Are you making any changes from the original format, or are you just going to enhance it, take it,
Well, yeah, I am making some changes.
Okay.
Okay, normally you're seeing me with a co-host or a co-hostess.
Okay. Yes, I remember. You had a co-host for a while.
Okay, I'm going to be by myself. And it's going to give me more camera time.
Right.
To pay attention to that guest and not, listen, I have nothing against any of my former cohorts, but, this is my thing.
Right.
And I want to...
This is your future, right? I mean, because we were discussing this earlier, that both of us have come to a point in our lives where we want to take a little more control of our destiny and a little more control of our time, and understanding that the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves is happiness and independence as best as we can.
I mean, listen, when I decided to walk away from this, and it was It was like May 2024, I'm going to say. So, it's been a while. I dabbled with going on a couple times. It didn't work. Because
When you say it didn't work, what is it that didn't work?
my heart and my head weren't into it.
Okay.
I was going through a little bit of a rough time.
Okay.
Then you kind of got to put that on the shelf and move forward and follow what you feel may be right for you.
Right.
Life is all trial and error.
Yeah.
So when you're doing something like this, excuse me, it's like people are either going to love you or going to hate you. There ain't no in between.
Right.
Usually on my one media platform, on my personal Facebook, I was getting a decent amount of views. Which I'm not going to be broadcasting on my personal anymore.
Okay.
It's going to go over to, all my Fatty's Funhouse stuff and, let that plummet a little. Which, I'm also, I know how to get the videos more views and,
Right.
get it out there more.
Cool.
Like little clips, like the
the
shorts
and the reels and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you remember when I was just talking about the Van Halen?
Right. Sammy Hagar.
Okay, so that got cut down into a minute clip, right, for a short. In less than 24 hours, that clip alone got over 20,000 views.
That's amazing.
So it's I found out how to make the descriptions more appealing to people and
Okay.
Get into the algorithms and all that.
Yeah,
more.
it's funny you mention that because a lot of people are deciding to do podcasting for a living. Even big movie stars, they're getting into this because it's a creative outlet. It's fun.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you do well, you could make a pretty penny.
Yeah, you can.
You really can. There's opportunities out there. And so what you're talking about is important for people that are curious about what we're trying to do as well.
Right.
And people should know that, look, out of 1 million people, one guy might get lucky with a viral video, but most of the people that are doing this week in and week out, they don't really do it for the money. They do it because they enjoy doing it, and the money is a byproduct.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you have to have a certain amount of passion. That's one of the reasons I got into DJing.
Right.
I was always passionate about music, but I knew I was in a situation where 3 other people dictated my future.
Right.
I'm under no illusion that I am a ship unto myself and only I can do without the world and live. No, I understand. You got to interact with people, but it's one thing when you're the captain of the ship, and it's another thing when you're the guy scrubbing the deck.
Right.
Those two lives are not the same.
Definitely not.
So I'm more, I'm not necessarily wanting to be the captain, but first mate might not be so bad.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
I'll tell you what, not for nothing. Like this, I could do all day long, right?
Right.
Because it's such an outlet.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I won't talk about is politics.
I agree with you. These are very divided times and very dividing viewpoints.
Now listen.
But with that being said, go ahead.
Just real quick, one show that I did with Eddie Z and myself.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, there was a couple of questions answered that, people were wondering why we don't talk politics, because we know basically most politicians are, pompous assholes and
yes.
whatever. But we touched on transgender and all these different genders and, that you're a rainbow and this, that, and the other thing and whatever the hell, right? We touched on bullying. Now, bullying when we were kids meant you met this asshole in the schoolyard after school was, done for the day. You just beat the shit out of each other for about 10 minutes. then
rolling down in the mud and the blood and the beer.
Then after it was done, somebody in the crowd either had a beer or a cigarette for you both to smoke with each other.
Right.
And that was the end of it. You ain't got kids jumping out of fucking windows and this, that, and the other thing these days. Right. But then, like I said, we got into the transgender thing. We got into politics. And then we got into, like cultures. And it was actually my birthday show one year. And we had a girl on who was everything but what she actually was. Okay. Since I knew this girl, she was Jewish. She was Native American, which that's where the dispute came in.
Okay.
Eddie was saying American Indian.
Oh.
And she was saying Native American. And that went back and forth, back and forth. She called him a racist asshole and then stormed out right on the air.
That's sad.
But
have a thicker skin if you're gonna be.
But it was funny.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? It was like
good content.
Oh, absolutely. And and even those pieces of content got a lot of views.
Right on.
Because the controversy,
conflict. It's funny. It's like I was watching this thing about OCC choppers, and it wasn't the motorcycles. I mean, the motorcycles were a byproduct, but it was that conflict that the father and the son had that kept everybody watching every week.
Absolutely. And then you got what's the other one? Storage wars.
Right. Conflict.
Constantly.
Constantly.
You got that one guy. Yep.
Always on that adrenaline ride. But let me get back to music for a second.
Sure.
So, I know you're setting up your studio here. Do you plan on also creating music in your studio here?
Very lightly.
Okay.
Like guitar tracks I would do here. Vocal tracks I would do here. Can't do drums because of the neighbors.
You could get an electronic set. I'll tell you what, my friend's got an electronic set. Neighbors can't hear shit.
Well, I mean,
you can play through headphones. It's great.
I got
But I get what you're saying.
I got a good contact for good drum samples too. To like trigger that. So and then there's a software out there called Drumagog.
Oh yeah.
Which, like, let's say you have, I don't know, like a Roland or an Elise's kit, right?
Right.
Okay, you can replace that, like, electronic acoustic sound with, like, DW hits.
Oh, cool.
Old Ludwig hits.
Right.
Like, let's say if you had something that Alex Van Halen did.
Right.
You can replace those hits with his hits.
Gotcha.
And, make it sound 95% realistic.
Very cool.
But really nothing beats miking up a set.
Slamming a snare drum with a nice fucking stick.
I mean, like, there's two drummers that, like, that I would use. Like if I were doing projects.
Right on.
One of them is Steve Cardenas. He's the drummer from the band Rawway.
Okay.
Who's one of the most hardest hitting son of a bitches I ever met in my life.
That's cool.
I mean,
I like a good hard hitting drummer.
Well, one day we were in Guitar Center and he was playing the kit, and he actually put his foot through a freaking kick drum.
Oh, no kidding.
Broke the skin. It was like, I was like, forget about it. I almost pissed myself.
That's fine.
And then there's another guy. He's out of like the Bridgewater area. His name's Craig Buckman. He I believe he toured with Sebastian Bach.
Okay.
Guy's a friend. He was also doing stuff with Rocco from American Angel.
Right on.
back in like 2013, that era.
Okay.
There's another guy, monster drummer. And, those would probably be my choice. Like the only two that I would use.
Right on.
Because they just got that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, local guitarists, there's many that I would use. Bass players, endangered species.
They really are. I had someone say this one time, that if you always want to guarantee you're going to play in a band, don't play guitar, play bass.
Yeah.
Because there's so few of them out there. They're like almost reluctant guitar players. Like, I really want to play guitar, but I'll settle for this. But still, many people made successful careers from doing that.
Now, years ago, and I'm going back to like before strip clubs, before I got out of high school, actually, a friend of mine was playing in a band, and they were rehearsing at a storage space in Mattawan, actually not too far from here. And I just lost my train of thought where the hell I was going with this. But there was many bands that like shared the space.
Right on.
And I know where I was going with this now.
Okay.
There was this one guy, African American gentleman. His name was Vinny, and he was like a jazz bassist, but like he would play an 8-string bass.
Wow.
Like Joey DeMeo from Animal.
Right.
But he was doing like all this crazy slap shit. Like I was like, what the? You know what I mean? This is like, I never heard no shit like this.
Next level shit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and back then, we're talking 87, 88.
Wow.
But, this guy was
Yeah, back
like,
then, all you had was like Stanley Clark was the only one that was really doing stuff like that.
Yeah. But, later on in life, you got dudes like Flea.
Yeah.
That kind of evolved into that in a rock and roll sense.
Right.
Or alternative or whatever the hell you wanted to call it.
I call it rock and roll.
Right. It don't matter what kind of rock and roll it is.
I said, I know it's only rock and roll, but I like it. Yeah, because, I mean, again, as a nightclub DJ, once you start, you really don't stop for 8 hours.
Right.
So you're live every night, and every night is absolutely different.
Yeah.
And like I noticed at different points in my career, I would put like little blocks of songs together.
Right.
And that would be like my little, set, my little.
I think every DJ has done that in their life, so.
Any of those stand out for you? Like, did you have like a favorite group of songs like that would blend into each other?
Well, like when the hip hop stuff started taking over, so I would blend Sean Paul, Get Busy. That Lumidee, Never Let You.
Oh, I like that song. Yeah.
And Wayne Wonder, Let It Go, I think it's called.
That's a good song. I know. I like Wayne Wonder. Yeah.
All three of them go into each other perfectly.
That's awesome.
But you gotta
finagle.
Finagle. Not
finesse.
Not a lot, but and then there was house songs that I used to play with that I would go like back and forth. There was a remix of Return of the Mac.
Oh, cool.
It was I forget the name of the song, but the artist was Tracy Orico.
I'm not familiar.
And then there was something else in there, but it was three of them. So I would take a verse out of one, a verse out of the other, verse out of the other, and then go back to this the first song, but in the chorus.
Right.
and then I would do the second verse of the other song,
Right.
and the third verse of the other song, and just worked it out.
That's cool.
And then I mean, not saying that it got a crowd crazy.
No, but it's fun as a DJ. You know, like those are the things you do to amuse yourself and to stretch your talents.
Now, like, I just got one of them little Hercules controllers.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Because this way, not that I use it much.
No, but they're fun to play with,
But, this way you can kind of cue and all that kind of shit.
I understand.
And, because you really, in the house systems, in these clubs, they give you shit to work with.
Yeah.
Like,
it used to be
below shit.
It's sad because at one time, especially in Jersey, man, I remember like Jersey had some of the nicest. I mean, they weren't. Again, we were talking about super clubs earlier. They had some of the nicest just clubs. You know, like you could go to any town in Jersey, go to a strip club, and they were all really cool. I mean, there was always the local shithole, and we were talking about On the Rocks.
Yeah.
But even that, On the Rocks was cool because it was a shithole.
Right.
So, like, that wasn't necessarily a detriment.
And you kind of had to have a set of balls to walk in there because you didn't know what you were walking into.
Right. But, like, places like Pumps and, like, Bourbon Street and, like, Heartbreakers and, like, the Body Shop, which is Fantasies, those all kind of were on the same level.
Yeah.
I mean, some might have been more successful in volume, but in general, as far as the clientele were concerned, they were all similar quality talent, and they were kind of close around. And you can go. That was one thing about Jersey is that really you could have a fun time back in the day just hopping around from the different clubs.
Right. So back in the original Body Shop days, the old owner John Paczynski.
I remember John. Yeah.
He used to own a Sandpiper as well.
Right. Because Jay used to DJ at the Sandpiper. Jay was the DJ at the Body Shop for a long time. I forget his last name.
J-Man?
Yes.
Jason Rodriguez, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I never knew his last name.
Yeah, he was a big-time Seaside guy. He lived in Seaside.
Yeah.
In Seaside.
He used to do the Pink Flamingos on the beach.
Yeah. I worked with Jay down at Sandpiper years later.
That's cool.
But I always knew John, his son John, his brother Vinny, and I'm actually now friends with Vinny's daughter Nicole. She actually wanted to get like a Sandpiper reunion.
Oh, that's fun.
Going, but like everybody's like moved on and like live in different states.
Right, that's the hard part. Different states.
A lot of the people that actually worked with me at the Sandpiper are now Floridians.
It happens.
Well, you've been down there for how long now?
Since 2005, man. It's 20 years.
Yeah.
Dude, that's longer. That's second. I mean, I grew up in New York, but I was almost 30 when I left.
Right, but New York's always going to be home to you.
Right. I got roots here. And then, Florida, it's funny because as long as I've lived in Florida, Florida's never really felt like home. Louisiana did, but not Florida. And I'm going to tell you why I think so. In Louisiana and in New York, there were very rich musical cultures.
Yeah.
And so that was attractive to me. And in where I live in Florida, there's a rich musical culture, but it's not something that I connect with.
Let me tell you something, like comparing like the food from New York to Florida.
Right.
Okay,
Big diff.
Yeah, like especially in Italian culture.
It's all in the water.
Now we all know Domino's sucks up here, right? You go down to Florida.
Sucks up here. It sucks everywhere.
Right, but you go down to Florida and eat Domino's, and it's below dog shit.
Again, I do believe a lot of it has to do with the water, because even guys that bring the New York, I know guys that have opened pizzerias from New York, and it's just something's always missing.
Listen, you could spin the greatest pie, you could have the best ingredients and this, that, and the other thing, but if your dough sucks,
That's what I'm saying. Because like I've heard people even trucking water down there, but you know, in general, listen, I'm gonna put it this way: in general, Florida is the land of the bland food. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Well, let me give
I
you
miss the good stuff up here.
a good Staten Island reference, okay? Mike Danino.
I understand.
Okay. So, started out in Staten Island, has stores in multi-states now, even California.
Oh, right on.
So, he made a filtration system for his water
Good for him.
that replicates Staten Island's drinking
That's
water.
awesome.
So
it adds whatever chemicals are lacking and removes whatever chemicals
Yes.
you don't need. See, that is what the problem is.
and his mixture of, let's say, you get the California fucking toilet water.
And it's tasting much better.
Yeah, and it's filtered out, and it's tasting just like Staten Island's drinking water, which I don't get this, and no disrespect.
Go right ahead.
But, I don't understand how Staten Island can have, like, the best drinking water in the world.
Well, it's New York City in general. They consider that, so Staten Island's part of that, but I don't know if we're on the same aquifer.
Okay, but, I remember a former boss of mine who had a pizzeria actually right next to my old house. He was telling me that Staten Island that had the best drinking water.
What it was, as far as taste and minerals, and part of it actually has to do with the fluoride, because the fluoride does add a slight taste to it also.
Okay.
I don't know what. It could be the old copper pipes. It could be the old lead copper pipes that add a little flavor. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We don't
We
really
don't really know where the flavor comes from, but it's there. It comes out in the food.
But I'm thinking, though, like, in order for you to replicate something like that,
I mean, yeah, if he did all that
like, you got to be a mad scientist to, like,
just about
pull that off. You know what I mean?
You are now an expert in your field.
But you see now, like, everybody was raving about his Jersey store here in Aberdeen.
Uh-huh.
I beg to differ on a lot. You know what I mean? Like, his food's all right.
Right.
And, he puts out slices that I would definitely go eat.
Right.
But comparing his Staten Island store to Aberdeen, New Jersey, you know what I mean?
I get it.
It's a big difference.
I get it.
Because let's say you get somebody that's a pizza cook in your store.
I told you my disastrous pizza story.
Right, but but really that don't give a shit about how things come out of the oven.
Right.
There's your reputation.
True.
So, just like now, like, out here we have, like, a ton of Lavoti stores, which are Italian markets.
Okay.
We have Uncle Giuseppe's, which is, like, the superfood town of Italian markets.
Okay.
And a couple little...
Are they any good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. That's important.
You're getting restaurant quality, you know what I mean? Like, good restaurant quality, not just
Right.
And God knows,
You and I both, my friend.
I've been known to eat a veal cutlet or two in my life,
I understand. Well, listen, I know we don't have much time left. Anything that you want to promote, anything you want to send a shout out for the future? You want anybody you want to say hello to?
Well, I just
tell your mom you love her.
Well, that goes without saying. I tell her that every night before I call it a night. But definitely tune into my show that we're going to premiere September 24th at 8 o'clock.
Where can they find you?
They could find me on Instagram at Fatty's Funhouse NJ. Could find me on Facebook at I can't even talk right now. John Vincent, 2 words. YouTube and Rumble at Fatty's Funhouse NJ.
Very cool.
And those are going to be the 4 mainstays for right now that you could watch us each and every week. And, as the show picks momentum back up, then we'll move into other markets.
All right.
And hopefully with the new platform that I'm on, using for my streaming.
Right.
Hopefully everything, there'll be more markets available,
Cool.
And actually I am going to be working on trying to get a deal with Spotify and Tidal as well.
Cool.
So they also now let you do video.
Very cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
That's very cool.
I'm working on that.
I hope that works out for you, bro.
My manager's trying to,
Dude, it's been
hook
an
all that up.
absolute pleasure.
This has been amazing.
Yeah, man.
And just remember, Dave was my mentor. He's the one that got me into
Don't blame me, man.
Listen,
don't blame me for the shit that you got yourself into.
being the sick wiki mismatcher
Wiki.
that I am today. Yeah, we know. But this is the guy that basically made me want to be a strip joint DJ.
This guy right here.
But you see now,
Your mom hates me.
and so does your sister.
All right, John,
Hey,
great seeing you, man.
same here,
Thanks for
brother.
coming by. Actually, I'm saying thanks for coming by. Thanks for having me here, bro.
Is it my joint?
This is your joint. The original
Funhouse.
right here. All right, take care.
Thanks for joining us in the Funhouse. See you next week.